I'm on Twitter at Boxing Gossip. I should probably advertise that a bit more, seeing as at the minute the account has an outstanding 20 followers on it. The reason I bring that up is I've just had a Twitter conversation with one of the lucky 20. Um, Basically, around the conversation, has Amir Khan ducked Kell Brook? Is he ducking Kell Brook? Will he duck Kell Brook? Etc. Now, I've got a few views on this, which I'll go through one by one. First of all, let me say that I am a fan of Amir Khan, but I'm also a fan of Kell Brook. This isn't one of those debates, to my eye. You get like Billy Joe, Chris Eubank, Cleverly Bellew, where somehow people seem to end up on one side of the argument. But with a few of the others, Khan, Brook, Frampton, Quigg, I more just want to see the fights happen from a general boxing perspective than because I'm a fan of one of the guys. So I would personally class myself as a fan of both Amir Khan and Kell Brook. I don't have a particularly strong opinion on which one I prefer as an individual, and I'd like to see this fight happen for the sake of boxing and for the sake of the UK scene as a whole. In terms of why this fight would be good for Amir Khan, I guess the first thing to say is that in the UK, this is absolutely massive. I mean, this is as big as it gets, I reckon. It's hard to say that even Froxgroves 2 would be bigger than Khan Brook, and I certainly would say this is an event that would sell 80,000 seats at Wembley. Certainly that would be available on Sky box office. I think there's huge public interest and public demand for the fight. I think Amir Khan certainly is, his appeal crosses over to beyond hardcore boxing fans. I think Kell Brook is lesser known than Amir Khan, but I think Kell Brook has that as well, in the sense that he's become, he's a British world champion. People are aware of him, and he's not just known to sort of pure boxing fans. So I view it as a massive event. Wembley, 80,000 tickets, and I think that in itself, to be associated with that event, could be a career-defining moment for Amir Khan, just like I believe it will be with Carl Froch and George Groves. I mean, we look at the big fights Carl Froch has been in, Jermaine Taylor, John Pascal, Andre Ward, Dirrell, Abraham, Kessler again. Arguably, these guys are all better opponents than George Groves. I think Froch's career will be remembered for that moment, for that event, for that day, for that build-up. And I think the same could be said of Khan Brook. It may be that one of these guys goes on to be a sort of pound-for-pound top player. It may be that one of them, becomes a unified welterweight champion. Who knows? But an event of this size and this magnitude, I think, can contribute substantially to their legacies, even no matter what goes on in the future. So I think there's an element of that, which is why Khan should look seriously at the fight. It's just because of the magnitude of the event and the amount of demand. I also think in Kell Brook, you've got an opponent who brings quite a bit to the table. First things first, he's one of Eddie Hearn's main fighters. There wouldn't be any problem getting this on Sky box office. Now, if Khan fights Floyd Mayweather, obviously that will be pay-per-view in various parts of the world, but we've seen recently Floyd's fights being free to air in the UK on Box Nation. Khan, I know he spends a lot of his time in America, I know he's based out there, but he is a British guy, and I feel that a British guy should be on pay-per-view in Britain. And this would be a Sky pay-per-view. Kell Brook certainly brings that to the table with his promoter and his team. But more than that, Kell Brook also brings an unbeaten record, unlike Khan. Kell Brook also brings a legitimate version of the welterweight world title to the table, which, let's not forget, is something Khan has never held in the welterweight division. If Khan beats Kell Brook, he's been involved in a massive domestic showdown. He has won a version of the welterweight title. He has made a huge amount of money and beaten one of the most credible competitors out there. So there's a lot of reasons that Amir should take this fight, that he should find the fight very attractive. Let me talk briefly about money as well. I think I read that Eddie Hearn had given Amir Khan a $5 million verbal guarantee should he take this fight. And I think that's very, very realistic. Easily realistic, in fact. I mean, if we think about it, if this sold 80,000 seats at Wembley and was a huge success with pay-per-view, there's no reason Khan couldn't do as well out of this as Frotz did in Frotz Groves, and I think Frotz took something like £9 million. So $5 million is very, very achievable. I do understand on this occasion it would likely be a 50-50 split as opposed to Frotz Groves where Frotz took the lion's share, but it's huge money for Khan. And if we look at what Mayweather opponents have got previously, even the likes of Victor Ortiz, Guerrero, Maidana, I've heard figures ranging from $1 million through to about $3.5 million. Floyd opponents don't get rich. It's not going to be, I mean, let's put it this way. Khan earned $900k for fighting Alexander. He earned $1 million for fighting Calacho. He got a huge amount of money for turning professional. He was a huge TV success in the UK. He's made money outside of boxing. This isn't a guy who needs a payday, I would assume. But the Floyd Mayweather payday, I imagine, will bring Khan $2 or $3 million, whereas I would guess the Kell Brook one would bring him at least double that, possibly treble that. So I think from a financial perspective, the Kell Brook fight is also the biggest fight out there for Khan. However, what I would say is, when you are as wealthy as Amir Khan, the finances may not be the be-all and end-all as long as you're being paid well. Let's put it this way. If you offered me one fight for $1 million and one fight for $2 million, I'd have to take the £2 million fight. But that says something about my financial circumstances. With Khan, he's so wealthy, he's got so much more money in the bank, that as long as he's being paid well, that extra bit of money may not prove to be the ultimate motivator to him. He's so financially comfortable, he's been paid so well for so many years. Whilst he wants the money and likes the money, he can look at other motivators, such as legacy, such as superstardom, celebrity, etc. And in my opinion, this is why I possibly feel Amir Khan is right to hold out for a potential shot with Floyd Mayweather, and why, if I was him, I probably wouldn't be rushing into the Kell Brook fight. So I've just talked for 8 minutes about why Kell Brook makes sense, and it does. There's a lot of reasons why this fight should happen. Kell Brook's undefeated. It would sell out Wembley. It would be huge money. Be Sky pay-per-view. It is for a legitimate world title. But having said all of that, I don't think Amir should necessarily go for the fight right now. And I don't think it's Amir ducking Kell Brook. I don't think he's running scared of Brook whatsoever. And the reason behind that is the possibility of a Floyd Mayweather fight. We know how close Amir got last year in May when Floyd fought Marcus Maidana. This year, it seems to be the names being discussed are Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao. Now, I'm sceptical as to whether the Manny Pacquiao fight goes ahead. For me, if that fight was genuinely going to happen, it would have happened by now. Look, I know that would be a very popular fight. I know a lot of people want to see it. But I'll believe it when both guys are stepping into the ring. For me, that saga has been going on too long to have any confidence that that's genuinely going to happen. So I think Amir Khan's got a very good shout at landing the Floyd Mayweather event. Now, the Floyd Mayweather fight in a way, is a no-lose situation for Amir Khan. He'd be expected to lose that fight. For all it's worth, I think he's got a decent chance. But Amir Khan would be expected to lose that fight. He would be a prohibitive, Floyd would be a prohibitive favourite with the bookmakers. Now, should Khan go on to lose that fight, it wouldn't necessarily be too detrimental to his career, to his legacy, to his wallet, etc. I mean, we've seen Floyd opponents before, like Marcus Maidana, who've been able to get rematches and almost become stars off the back of 2 consecutive losses. These are things to consider. If Khan was to take a loss to Mayweather, it would be quite easy to say Khan's lost to the best pound-for-pound fighter out there. Khan's lost to the welterweight king. Surely we can't blame Khan for that. It doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. Everyone loses to Mayweather. And I think that's certainly fair to an extent. Realistically, Mayweather isn't getting any younger. There's a limit to the amount of fights he's got left. So from Khan's perspective, it's a one-off opportunity to fight an all-time great, who I think, and he probably thinks, I'm sure, he has a chance of stylistically beating. It's a chance to get well paid. It's a chance to launch your profile to all new levels being involved with a Mayweather event. And it's a fight that doesn't hurt that badly if you lose. I mean, let's be honest, Khan could still fight Kell Brook. He could have a comeback fight at the end of this year against a respectable-ish opponent and fight Kell Brook at Wembley in 2016. He could probably still get a 50-50 split. If anything, his profile would be higher after a loss to Mayweather than it would be, currently. So, in that perspective, I don't see a loss as a bad thing. It doesn't hurt Khan's legacy. It doesn't hurt Khan's credibility. The Brook fight is still available. Whereas, from a business perspective, if he goes and fights Kell Brook, win, lose or draw, Mayweather's probably retiring. He may lose the opportunity to ever fight Kell Brook. And he can do it that way round. He can happily lose to Mayweather and still fight Kell Brook. He can't lose to Kell Brook and then go after Mayweather. It's not going to work that way. Kell Brook is a huge, huge player in the welterweight division. He's a good fighter. He's, got a lot going for him. But in terms of his global sort of footprint, who he is globally, I don't know how big he is in America. I mean, he's beaten Sean Porter, which I think is a very credible, respectable, strong piece of form. But Sean Porter himself was a slightly unknown commodity. He looked very, very good against the likes of Malignaggi, but it's hard to quantify and qualify just how good Sean Porter actually is at the moment. I mean, before that, we saw Brook stumble to victories against Carson Jones. We saw him beat Senchenko, even though he got, caught at one point. But my point is that Kell Brook has got some respectable form. He's huge in the UK, where he's from. But I'm not sure how highly regarded Kell Brook is on the world scene. I would imagine in America the likes of Keith Thurman, certainly the likes of Marcus Maidana, certainly the likes of Amir Khan, Manny Pacquiao, these guys would all be sort of regarded, or certainly better known, than Kell Brook. Now that's not to say that Kell Brook isn't a global event, but I think it is a UK-centric event. Clearly there are 2 UK fighters fighting in the UK. It doesn't have the sort of global appeal that Khan Mayweather has, which for me would be massive all over the planet. I mean, the point I'm getting at is Khan Brook is massive. Don't get me wrong, it's massive. But I don't think it's as big an event as Khan Mayweather. I don't think the legacy potential is there with the Brook fight to the same extent it is with the Mayweather fight. I don't think the superstardom and the celebrity is on the same level as you get with a potential Floyd Mayweather fight. And I think realistically, whilst the Brook fight is it does have a lot going for it, Khan needs to, if there's any scope to get the golden egg of a sort of Mayweather fight and that chance at history and superstardom, you've got to take it. Because Mayweather's not getting any younger. He's not going to be around for much longer. And if Khan could beat Mayweather, Khan starts being spoken about as an all-time great. So it's if I was him, I'd hold out for the Floyd Mayweather fight, or I'd try and do my very best to get that fight. I know the money's bigger with Kell Brook. I know it'd be a huge UK event, but that money in that event will still be available to Khan in a year or two's time. Whereas the Floyd Mayweather fight is something that needs to happen in May. I mean, let's not forget, with Khan celebrating Ramadan, it means that this May fight might be the last chance he'll ever get to fight Floyd. And with that in mind, with how close he's been to the fight previously, with the fact that Floyd Pacquiao is unlikely, I think Khan's to try and put all his eggs into getting the Floyd fight and to taking that gamble, trying to get the winning ticket and trying to get Floyd in the ring. That's my thoughts. I do think Khan is avoiding the Kell Brook for sort of sensible boxing and business reasons. In my opinion, he's not ducking him, he's not running scared of him. Khan's not scared of tough fights. Look at the guys he's been in with. Even more recently, Luis Collazo, Devon Alexander. These are tricky fights. They might not be the top of the welterweight division, but these are tough guys. These are guys who bring something to the table. And, we've seen the fights he's taken in the past. Peterson, Garcia. We've seen him come back from losses. Amir Khan won't be scared of Kell Brook in my eyes. Obviously, I'd like this fight to happen. But for me, I have to respect Amir Khan in going for the Mayweather fight. Let me know your thoughts.